The court have dismissed the live coverage as requested by the PDP and the APC presidential candidate as we await the final, talking about the fate of Tinubu and Shetima come the 26th, which is Friday, before the handing over, which is on Monday, May 29. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on your winning station, where we keep you updated with what is happening on the papers this morning. I am Sarah Elisha, and of course I have Rachel Tazi with me. Good morning, Rachel.
Morning, Sarah.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. We're live on Facebook and also on YouTube. Please do well to drop your comments and your contribution on any story that is of interest to you. And then, as usual, later on we will open the phone line so you can also air your thoughts on any, story that actually caught your interest. And we shall be going straight to the paper, starting with the Daily Independent newspaper.
On the Daily Independent newspaper, Presidential Committee requires 3.4 trillion naira to tackle flooding. Mass resignation, National Assembly intervenes, calls for adherence to NCAA regulations. The rider following that, Minister sacks Pajok as NAMA MD, appoints Odunowa. You can find the details inside the paper on page 6. And the big story on Daily Independent, Dangote refinery significant milestone for Nigeria. A statement coming from Buhari. Project to reposition Nigeria as leader in Africa. A statement coming from Dangote himself. Refinery may earn Nigeria foreign exchange savings of $30 billion yearly. Statement coming from Emefiele. Sanwo-Olu loots Buhari, Tinubu, Dangote over first private refinery. You can find the details all on page 29. Reorganization of aviation agencies still ongoing. Seriki is informing Nigerians. You can find the details on page 7. Ajero vows to restore NLC as a fighting machine. AAU sacks 13 staff over fraud, age falsification, and sexual harassment. 10th House of Rep with not endorsed any speakership aspirant coming from the minority caucus. Buhari commissioned second Niger bridge today. You can find the details on page 6. Presidential election court dismisses plea for live telecast. APC Tinubu oppose consolidation of petitions. At the downside of the paper, El-Rufai deposes 2 Kaduna Monarch sacks district heads. You can find the details on page 6. We have a picture story where we can see the inauguration and the commissioning of the Dangote refinery, which took place yesterday. And that's all the news on Daily Independent.
On the Vanguard newspaper, on Naira redesign, massive cash hodling resumes. You can find more of that on page 19. Buhari to commission second Niger bridge via Zoom. Today you can find detail of that too inside the paper. And on Plateau killing, death toll hits 130 as Khan warns against reprisal. You can find that story on page 6. Coming from the Northeast, federal government seek funding for over 4 million malnourished people. You can read more of that story inside the paper. Police rescue kidnapped surgeon and 9 others in Benue, which you can find on page 6. And the big story concerning the commissioning of the Dangote refinery, $21 billion revenue, 100,000 jobs coming from our refinery. With the writer says first product will hit the market in July. Refinery a game changer coming from President Buhari. Facility will impact Nigeria's economy positively coming from the CBN Governor Emefiele. Lagos provides best opportunities for investors coming from Sanwo-Olu, the Governor of Lagos State. Our investment in Dangote refinery strategic. You can find that story and all of that on page 5. We have the picture story showing the commissioning, where we have people who were in attendance, the like of the governor of Lagos State. We've seen the president. We've also seen Dabo Abiodun and many other, stakeholders and presidents of other countries that were in attendance during the commissioning. And on the presidential poll, why tribunal rejected the live coverage? You want to know why they did that? You do well to read detail of that story on page 8. Again, armed herders killed 18 behead women and children in Benue. We can find more of that on page 7, and it's becoming unbecoming, the insecurity. And then it's really, I'm really sad about all of this, Richard, because it seems as if just when we're about having the handing over, there tend to be lots of killings. We've seen that of the Plateau State. Initially, we had just about 40, and then it went about just about, I think, 40. It went up to like about 48. Now we've seen that the death is about 130. Let's not even talk about those that have been displaced, and then they are running helter-skelter looking for how to survive. Again, we're having in Benue, it has been on our papers, you know, almost every day on the paper has been reflected. And here we can see that again, arms headers killed 18 and behead women and children in Benue. You begin to ask questions, what are these headers having against these various states that they tend to be attacked? And you ask, what is the government doing? Of course, these are the questions people ask. What are the government doing? What are the security agencies doing? Is it that they keep going to the same place over and over and nothing is being done about that? We're just hoping something should be different, because I keep saying that we can't keep applying the same approach over and over the same issue and then expect to see different thing happening. We have to have a different strategy, possibly that will be able to help us to conquer this insecurity. I keep asking, what gives the headers the right that they can go about harming farmers? Because most times we see farmers, yesterday we saw about 9 were killed in their farms in Kaduna. So a lot of things are just not right, and we're seeing where there's a possibly a poverty scare, because people are saying that if farmers don't get to farm, definitely we're going to see that there's going to be poverty. Already a lot of, you know, food items are very expensive in the market right now.
Yes.
For you to be able to afford tomatoes, you really need to have what it takes, because right now even 200 naira tomatoes cannot make sauce for you in your house. So a lot of things are just not right. So I just hope the government will do something. We really need safety, and I have to remind our, you know, our leaders the fact that your number one responsibility is to protect lives and property, just in case they have forgotten. Every other thing is secondary. So do not come and let the people feel that because you have a flyover bridge and that is what will qualify. Of course not.
Of course not.
Of what use is a flyover bridge when we are not safe to even use a flyover bridge?
True.
So I just hope that all of these things will be attended to, even as we look forward to the handing over. Let our attention not be, let the government attention not be on the handing over. But in as much as, yes, by Friday, of course, you'll be tidying up, living the villa wherever you are, the government house where you are living. But then we are hoping that something positive should come out at the end of the day, that the people would remember you for something positive and not something negative. Because eventually you want to, you know, vie for another position. Yesterday we saw in the paper where Apabio was saying we shouldn't judge him based on Buhari's cabinet. And of course, we had our callers saying that they will judge you based on that, because we need your track record to see if we can be able to, you know, that's talking about Nigeria, if they can be able to say, yes, let us give him the mantle of leadership again. So truly, I hope something will be done to really reduce this insecurity. Because if that is done, Richard, I'm telling you that every other thing will be secondary. To fix our educational sector will just be a child's play, because when you're able to secure the lives of the student in the school, then nothing will be too difficult for you to do eventually.
Yes, Stella, when you see the unfolding of the attacks that we've been having in Benue, Plateau, and Kaduna, you see that it's very strategic, because it has been the same area. When it comes to Kaduna, it has been southern Kaduna for years. When it comes to Plateau, there was once a time it was the Birkin-Ladi local government that was consistently under attack. And we had the Fulanis. When you go to down the Birkin-Ladi, somewhere like Fanhe, Fanlo, they've had a series of attacks there that made people to abandon where they are. And when you come to southern Kaduna, it's the same thing. And when you go to Benue, I wouldn't want to say these attacks are random. No, they don't look random in any way. Now we've been having series on the plateau in Rion, and a lot of people have left their villages. There was once a time it was coming to Haipang, but that one didn't last for long. There was once a time it was BCG, and now we have in exactly, we can count, yes, Miango we've had for just east also some villages
some
being
of just
attacked.
also,
Exactly.
So eventually almost every part,
has been touched. And what I see is that I see a strategic attack, Sele, and whether we like it or not, anything that has to do with terrorism is all about taking over. And that's why we, the government, what is taking forever, we just keep saying gunmen or not, but this is a strategic, and anything that has strategy behind it has a purpose, has a reason behind it, has an aim towards it. And one of the aim I see is once you displace people and people can't live in their villages, automatically the people who have sent them out of their villages settle at that place. So indirectly, these people are taking over farmlands, villages, and all of that to become their place, because now the people who are displaced have left their villages, have left their farmland because they are not safe there, and those who are the people behind them living there are now taking. So I'm seeing a very strategic attack, and which is the reason that is giving me concern, and it obviously says that people are sleeping on their job, because it wouldn't take us too long to know that, you know what, these attacks are very strategic, and then the government also have to strategize a way of making sure that these attacks don't take place anymore. So Stella, we're just hoping, and that's why we're here, and we will never stop talking about it. We will never stop emphasizing that the Nigerian government are doing something but are still failing us in a lot of ways, because your number one responsibility is to protect the lives of the people that have voted you into power, because they believed in your capacity to take care of the country, including them. And we have seen that the government have failed us. We will not say the success are few compared to the failures when it comes to security in Nigeria. We've seen little success compared to the many damages we are having when it comes to security in this country. So whether we like it or not, we're here to keep saying the government needs to wake up in terms of security, because whatever you're doing is not good enough, because every day hundreds of lives are being lost in Nigeria, and you have failed the people if they cannot live to enjoy what they have under your administration.
Of course, Richard, you know, while you were talking, my mind just went back to on Sunday. Leah Sharibu is 20 already. She was 20 years already. We're yet to hear anything about her.
Yeah.
It's 1 year ever since Deborah was killed in school. Till date, we're yet to hear arrests being done. Those were behind it. We saw where a number of SAN were there to defend those people that were doing that, and that is a very barbaric act.
Very barbaric,
looking at the fact that you cannot even express yourself properly. So I'm looking forward to when we will grow. In as much as we keep saying that Nigeria is not a religious country, it is a secular country, but from the way things are moving, of course, religion is playing a very, very vital role, and that is why we have to put our heads together and do the right thing for the country. Well, other stories still on the Vanguard newspaper. We have a property, how Marine Beach bridge closure okay, I take that story. How Marine bridge closure inflict untold hardship on motorists. You can do well to find more of that story on page 24. We have a column 2 on sports, and that is all on the Vanguard newspaper.
On Leadership newspaper, 6 days to go. I belong to everyone and I belong to nobody. Veteran State House reporters recall memorable inauguration moments of President, as President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can find the details on page 7. Meta fine £1 billion for mishandling people data. This is a trend. And on numbers, manufacturers grapple with 469 billion naira unsold goods. You can find the details on page 2. No live broadcast of tribunal proceedings, court tells Atiku and Obi. And the big story on leadership, 16 years after Blue Star setback, Dangote lives his dream. Accolades as Buhari commissions Africa's largest refinery in Lagos. You can find the details on page 4. And we have some statement who said what project will transform Nigeria's economy, coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. Dangote hails CBN governor over efforts to complete project. Dangote came to Lagos with nothing 45 years ago, says Sanwo-Olu, and $23.3 billion spent to import petroleum products in 2022. This is a statement coming from Emefiele, and I think what that statement implies is that with the refinery now, we might not have to spend that much in importing oil. Still on the leadership newspaper, found other private jet owners yet to move aircraft from Abuja Airport. This is still on clearing the airport hangars for the May 29th inauguration, and FAN are saying that the private jet owners are yet to do what they're expected. You can find the details on page 27. And Children's Day Leadership presents logo competition today. You can find the details on page 10, and that's all the news on leadership newspaper.
On Daily Sun newspaper, we have double nomination. Supreme Court fixed May 26 for judgment in PDP suit against Tinubu and Shetima, which you can find on page 6. The big story, which is on most of the paper, Dangote refineries fuel hits market in August. We saw the previous paper that said in July. Now we're seeing the Daily Sun is saying in August. We hope that the date will be given specifically. The writer following the story at official commissioning, Buhari described the project game changer for economy. CBN, others pay tribute as NNPC says 400 billion naira monthly subsidy unbearable. You do well to find detail of all that story on page 22. Federal government appoints Odunuwo as the new NIMA MD, with the Rider Aviation think tank Bayasaraki for last-minute changes meddling in NCAA. Panic as headers kill 19, injure more, sack community in Benue and Imo State. You can find on page 4. Tinubu APC oppose consolidation of Atiku Obi APM petitions. You can find all of that on page 6. And on Senate presidency, race takes new turn as Lawan reportedly shows interest. National Assembly leadership shouldn't be used to further divide Nigerians. This is coming from Khan, which you can find detailed on page 26 and 30. Wike honors Uzodinma with the highest Rivers Award. Nigeria receded under Buhari, coming from the NLC president. And we have PDP Labour Party lose bid for live broadcast of tribunal proceedings. Ruling not setback, says Atiku and the party, which you can find on page 6. And court has adjourned Nnamdi Kanu's case to, you can actually find more detail of that story on page 5. We still have picture story showing us the commissioning, a cross-section of various pictures. And that's all on the Daily Sun newspaper.
On this day newspaper, presidency releases list of Buhari's key achievements in 8 years, says federal government embarked on most ambitious infrastructure program since 1960, discloses Air Force acquired 38 aircraft, Navy 400 new platforms, 20,000 policemen recruited. And I believe that this is something that as Nigerians we should want to see. What are the key achievements of the Buhari's administration for 8 years? And you can find the details inside the paper on page 12. Zubairu, AFC boss, explains how the world misunderstands the African market. Court declines Atiku's request for live broadcast of proceedings. And the big story on this day newspaper, with Dangote refinery, Nigeria will have excess refined petroleum for export. Statement coming from Buhari. The writer following the story, optimistic Tinubu will sustain improved economic business environment. Dangote has repaid 70% of loan used in reconstructing facility. Coming from Emefiele, says refinery will save Nigeria $30 billion forex and additional $10 billion inflows. Without CBN governor, this project wouldn't have seen the light of day. Aliko Dangote is saying that massive vision for Africa's richest man. Dangote first product from refinery to hit market end of July, vows to satisfy Nigeria's demand for all petroleum products this year. Mele Kyari pledges NNPC support for domestic refinery project. We see how he has said that they will be making sure that the refinery gets over 300,000 barrels per day of crude oil. Sanwo-Olu praises Buhari, Tinubu and Dangote. It's another milestone towards new Nigeria. You can continue with the story on page 20. We have a picture story still showing the inauguration of the multi-billion-dollar Dangote Petroleum Refinery, and that's all the news on this day newspaper.
On the Punch newspaper, Tribunal rejects live broadcast. Supreme Court decide anti-Tinubu suit on Friday, which you can find on page 2. We have here Buhari's yes, despite a spread in stagnancy limit oil sector. You can find more of that review inside the paper. The big story here, Dangote Refinery petrol hits market July. Federal government to save 7 trillion naira with the rider. Plant project export to 53 African countries and to toxic fuel supply. This is coming from Dangote. Buhari says refinery game changer. Emifene project 12,000 megawatts power. We hope that that will be able to spur the Nigerian government to do something about our power sector, because this is a sector that has been going down. We've been having issues of power failure left, right, and center, power Greek. I think we've had it for the night time since this administration started, and they begin to wonder what the problem is. So we hope that with this having this refinery, this has projected Nigeria to other countries that we have the capacity to do so much more than what people felt we can. And I see this as Nigeria beginning to regain its past glory, because we have been dwelling on the past glory. But I think it's high time we take a higher step. Yesterday we were looking at what will happen if we depend just on Dangote. I hope that this will not just make the government to fold its arms and just depend on only Dangote. But we hope that other state refineries that are actually lying down idle, something will be done about it. Our power plants that have been lying idle, something should be done about it. And above all, we've seen that they said this is an end to toxic fuel. We saw there was, I think, last year where we saw toxic fuel, of course, that destroyed so many engines. So many people lost their businesses because of the adulterated fuel that was in the market last year. And we saw that even amidst the cash crunch this year, we saw scarcity of fuel and all of that. So just as we are seeing that this refinery is going to do so much more for Nigeria, we are just watching, keeping our hands. Ending of July, we know that what the fate of Nigeria like. But I hope that the government will work together with Dangote, not just to depend on Dangote refinery. In as much as we know that it has the capacity to do so much more. But imagine when other refineries are being revived, how much we'll be able to do. So we look forward to seeing that we will not just fold our arms and just depend on this refinery, but we'll work on reviving other refineries that are actually lying idle.
Of course, it will be a very big mistake if the government should only depend on Dangote refinery. An absolute big mistake. We have refineries in Kaduna that have not been working. The government needs to bring that back to life also. And we might not have to, the idea here is that it doesn't have to be a mega refinery as this, because we can see that a lot of resources has been put into this. However, the CBN governor have said that Dangote have been able to give back 70% of the money that was taken to make the refinery, meaning in a short period of time the 30% will be back in. And then the government, when you look at how much was the budget for this refinery, and you look at our debt profile, Sele, for all these years, if we were consistently, Sele, putting in money into the refineries that are not functioning, by today we would be having our refineries, even before this one ready, fully functional. Because what the thing about this oil is that, Sele, if we want to have a boom in oil revenue, it's about dominating the market. And if we will depend on Dangote refinery, we cannot dominate the oil market in Africa, because what he has is enough, yes, to cater 100% for the 38 million barrels of oil consumed in Nigeria. We saw that in the papers, and other oil like diesel and then the jet fuel and all of that. He has enough capacity for what we consume in this country. However, what will be taken out now will be less. So it means if we want to dominate the oil market, giving out finished goods rather than exporting our crude oil, then we cannot depend on Dangote's refinery alone, because it means it limits our dominance in the market and how much we can make. So I'm just hoping that the government doesn't depend on Dangote's refinery alone, but continue with the other refinery projects and make sure that they are finished and then up and running.
Of course, of course. Well, let's look at other stories quickly on the Punch before we go on the break. We have my admin boosted Navy capacity with 20 ships coming from Buhari. We have operators false removal of NAMA managing director. Governors-elect protests as outgoing governors shun transition panels. You can find more detail of that story on page 44. We still have impeached restoration of the refinery and those who were in attendance for the commissioning, and that's all on the Punch. Well, Rachel, let's just take this break because a lot is happening, and I know that our viewers are itching to contribute to the stories, to see reasons why the court have actually dismissed the suit request by the PDP and the APC for a live coverage. You're also seeing how far the Dangote refinery is doing. We've seen, killings in Kaduna, we've seen killings in Benue, we've seen killing in Plateau State. What do you think we can do to make Nigeria a better, a better place for every one of us? So when we come back, we will open the phone line so you can air your views, and also you can send your contribution on our Facebook and YouTube handles. Please do not wait. We'll be right back after this break. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on your winning station. We've been giving you an update of what has been happening on our papers, looking at the reason why the tribunal have shown the, the live coverage that has been requested by the PDP and also the Labour Party. And also we've seen the capacity of the Dangote refinery in the papers. We've also seen, scores of killings and, a lot of other stories from human angles are actually reflected on our papers this morning. So we would love to hear from you. Our numbers are displayed on your screen at this moment. Please do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set when you call us, and to be very civil with your language. Of course, we know your emotions might actually be very high, but please, let's be very, very observant of our language on air. And also, you can drop your comment on our Facebook page and YouTube. We'll do well to also read it live here in the studio. I still have Rachel Tenzi with me. Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome, Sarah.
Right before we have our calls coming in, let's take the next paper.
On the Nation newspaper, more heads to roll innovation agencies. 2.2 billion naira terminal takes off. This is coming from Sirika. You can find the details on page 26. Tinubu will support Navy, says Buhari. President reviews assets. President signs social investment agency bill and others. Why judiciary must resist technical judgments. You can find the details on page 26 and page 13. Why tribunal rejected motions on live telecast. Tinubu APC opposed consolidation of PDP and Labour Party APM petition. And we have a statement. The requirement that the court sits in public does not mean that it should sit in a stadium or in a marketplace. The sensitive and delicate nature of election petitions should not be compared to the trials of O.J. Simpson in the U.S. and Oscar Pistorius in South Africa. The law provides for the shielding of the identity of witnesses in election case. So these are the reasons why the court is saying that they reject the motion that the tribunal should be made a live broadcast. And with this point, at the same time, I know last week it was ongoing, and I clearly stated that regardless of whether it is a live broadcast or not, it doesn't take away the fact that the court will do the right thing. And I want to believe that this is also very sensitive, that yes, the government and people, there will be witnesses that will come with key evidence that could be a threat to their lives. And when it is a live broadcast, there might not be room to censor or be able, yes, to censor the faces of these individuals. It is life. Everything goes on life, and there will be life that could be in danger. So for this reason, I would like to say, yes, it might not go in line with what Nigerians want, but yes, an election tribunal is very sensitive. There are people that will bring in proofs that might put their lives in danger, and I think it is also the responsibility of the court of law to be able to protect these people in the best way that they could. And you can continue with the details on page 8. Second Niger Bridge, 6 other projects for inauguration today. You can find the details on page 25. Petrol, diesel, others to flow from Dangote Refinery July. 40% of output from the 650,000 barrel per day facility for export. At the downside of the paper, Supreme Court fixes Friday for judgment in PDP suit against Tinubu and Shettima. You can find the details inside the paper, and that's all the news on the Nation newspaper.
A New Telegraph newspaper: without Emifele, the largest refinery in Africa wouldn't be possible. Coming from Dangote, refinery will save Nigeria $30 billion in FX yearly, coming from the CBN governor, to generate 135,000 jobs. Yesterday we saw 100, but now it's going to be 135,000 jobs, 12,000 megawatts of electricity. Buhari seek elimination of trade barriers in Africa, urges entrepreneurs to emulate Dangote, which you can find on page 2. And FY22 USSD transaction dropped by 13.2% to 4.49 trillion naira. And other stories here: 5 out of the 469 9th National Assembly members make MVP Hall of Fame. You can find detail of that on page 5. Scores flee homes as terrorists attack, kill 23 Benue farmers. You can find that on page 6. And then we are having brutal Accra route rivalry persists for Nigerian and Ghanaian airlines. All right, we have a call. Hello, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Okay, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sele and Rachel, my sisters, how are you?
We are great,
fine,
thank
sir.
you, sir.
How are you, sir? My sisters.
Fine.
Fine, sir.
Yes, I'm with you. Honestly, Nigerian is being thrown into confusion. What a nation cannot do, and individuals have done it. Can you imagine? Buhari came with a mantra of building refinery every year for Nigerians, but he was unable to do even one. Imagine yesterday he went and inaugurated an individual's refinery that a human being alone can build, a nation cannot build. What an insult to a nation. What an insult to a nation. Buhari came to this country with his own hidden agenda to destroy our economy, to make the people suffer and pay for what they did not, an offense they did not commit. But I pray that even as the Dangote refinery was inaugurated yesterday, Nigerians think that Dangote will give us what the federal government can give us. It's not possible. This is business. This is personal business. I pray that we'll get it right in this country. Come to think of El-Rufai. El-Rufai at 9 minutes, they're supposed to ask for forgiveness as he asked before election, is now demolishing structures in Kaduna as if he's a small god. He dethroned traditional leaders. Yesterday he dethroned 5. What kind of life is this? Instead for El-Rufai to put smile in the faces of people, El-Rufai is making people cry. Yesterday there's a place close to my house called Baji Villa. Very beautiful area with beautiful structures. This man started demolition yesterday. The youth has to stand on their feet and women and chase them away from that demolition. Why is El-Rufai behaving like this? Southern Kaduna don't have peace, especially the Tia people. The Tia people are killed like animals. And El-Rufai will boldly say that you know what is happening with the Tia people because he's God. That what the Tia people did in 92, did they think the Hausa and Fulani will not have someone that will defend them? Let him not forget, he will stand before God to account for his stewardship here on earth. Come what may, El-Rufai will stand before God for judgment. Good morning, my sisters.
Thank you so much. You know, a lot of things are happening, and I think it's not far from what we said about Dangote refinery, hoping the fact that we'll not fold our arms. And also on the Kaduna case, I think it's becoming an everyday issue, just like I said on our papers. Of course, I read the news about the demolition of the Bagi Vida, and also the fact that a woman lost her life because she was trying to protect the house, and then eventually, not like the security agency were, you know, just shooting just to scare people away, and then her, you know, blood pressure got high, and before she was rushed out, so she died. And of course, it's a very sad scenario. We've been calling on the governor of Kaduna to do the right by people. We've called on various governors of every state to do right by their people. You have barely 6 days or so to leave the office. Friday, you should be dusting and leaving the government house. All right, we have another call. Good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Yes, sir. Please go with your contribution. What's your name?
All right, we have another call. Good morning. Yeah, morning.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set, sir.
Yeah, my name is Ima from Bochi.
All right, turn down the volume of your TV set, Mr. Ima, please.
Okay, I'm doing that right now. So,
thank you.
I said it's a very good thing that Dangote has built, a development that Dangote has built a refinery for Nigeria. Now, the government now will stop harassing all those people in Niger Delta who owns their own personal refinery, saying that they are illegal. So that let there be now, you know, that is the yardstick to acceptance to those people now. Let's see if the government now will go to persecute those people. You understand? And again, like the last caller was complaining, you understand? But it looked like as if it's just what he's trying to say is like he favored, that Buhari is favoring a kind of his brother, you understand? So that things will be done in favor of the North and the Nigerians, or so-called of their brothers, you know? So I don't have much to say, but let God take control. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ima. It's been a while. We've not heard from Ima from Bauchi, but it's important, even though from what I get clearly, that wasn't what the caller meant when he said, he just trying to say we shouldn't fold our arms and just depend on Dangote refinery. And of course, he you know, he complimented, Mr. Ima just complimented and saying the fact that hope those who are having illegal, now that's the difference, illegal refineries is what we're having in the Niger Delta. This is legal. So if you want your refinery, all right, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
Please, I want to contribute on this refinery something.
All right, go on, please, sir.
Please, the issue is that this one refinery, we are still going back to square one. The actual part is that the truth remains that when Dangote control that thing, it will become an individual something. Any price you like, you can inflate it. We remember that we have this controlling by him, salt. How much are we selling salt today in Nigeria? Sugar is controlled by Dangote. How much are we selling sugar today in our place? Cement is controlled by Dangote. How much are we selling cement in Nigeria today? We should stop all this. If the government as a whole cannot make the refinery to be working properly, then how do you expect that individual can make it work properly? We will still be suffering from the gifts God gave to us. I'm of the opinion that if government cannot be able to help us, going through Dangote cannot even solve the problem. Thank you and God bless.
Well, I don't know. I'm of a different opinion. Totally, Rachel.
Totally
valid. Differently. Of course, we are all entitled to our opinion, but let's look at it critically. Dangote is not the only person producing cement. We have other companies. Dangote is not the only company producing sugar. We have other companies. Same as salt and same as other products that we have. We have other products. But we have other companies that are also in the same line of business. But of course, just like you said, it's a business for Dangote. Okay, we have another call. Hello, good morning. Please, sir, turn down the volume of your TV set.
Hello.
Good morning, sir. Turn down the volume of your TV set, please.
Okay. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead. We are with you.
Okay. I want to ask.
This Dangote cement, someone was saying that the rate they are buying it in Ghana is cheaper than what they are buying it here in Nigeria. And now Dangote want to control fuel. So I don't know. Are we still going to follow what has spread in cement?
I guess that's a question I need an answer.
Yeah,
All right.
question.
Are you still there?
God bless you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank
So,
you.
Richard, I know you have a lot to say, but let me just quickly round up my thoughts so you could talk. The fact that I was saying that we have other companies that are still in the same line of business.
Yeah.
And, you know, the previous caller before this one was saying the fact that if Dangote is going to be the individual, then what will make it easier? It will make it a bit easier for us in the country. It will make it a little bit, because looking at the money we're spending, sending our oil outside the country to be refined and then bringing it back. We are still buying it back. And remember, when we're buying it back, we're not even buying in Naira, we're buying in dollars. So, of course, that has affected giving. Okay, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
Amount to Equal Television.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
you
you
are.
are. Please go ahead. We're with you.
Yeah, I want to comment on the refinery stuff.
All right, please go ahead, sir.
It's a welcome development. But what will happen to the modular refineries? They talk about the Niger Delta area. This is something that is coming from this region. If Nigeria refuse to repair our refineries, I think they should allow those people to operate on their modular refinery. Those ones are legal, not illegal. Since the other pattern is illegal, let them allow the legal process to take place. I believe if this oil was from the northern part of this country, all this will have been happening. We know what is happening in this country. You and I know what is happening. When one set of people do something evil, it's good. When the other person stand up for his right to defend himself, become illegal. Let do the right thing. Let the government do the right thing, and let the people live in unity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please, Richard, you have the floor now to air your view.
Okay, Sarah.
Thank
So
you to that,
before I
yeah.
talk about the market concern, I'd like to start because he mentioned the whole illegal refinery and all of that. And if your refinery is illegal, it is illegal. Number one is that it might not have passed the due process that the government wants it, because there are standards in creating certain things like this. And one of the standards that Dangote's refinery has met.
All right, we have a caller from Kano. Hello, good morning, sir. What's the name?
Ben Kochet from Kano.
All right, coaches, go on. We're with you, please.
Benjamin speaking.
All right, go on,
Go
sir,
on.
please.
We can hear
Ben
you, sir.
Kochet speaking from Kano.
All right, Ben, go on. We're with you, please.
Saleh and Rachel, good morning.
Morning.
Please, when they talk of Erufai, I always, when they mention Erufai, I always weep in my heart. So I have sorrow. It's very, very painful for me, because it's not good for somebody to be wicketing people. Everybody has a time that you live in life, and you will be judged. You do things to favor your people. You don't. It is clear that it's religious that they are showing us. They kill people just recent in the plateau. Now he's trying to demolish a church. It's very wrong. We are one Nigerians. We supposed to team ourselves together. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Ben,
much.
for that thought of yours.
Yeah. So talking about the refinery and meeting up to standard for you to be a legal refinery to pass those checks and have the paper, there is a standard. It's like when NAFTA goes to a company, there are guidelines they follow to make sure that this company can get the NAFDAC number and it is safe for people to consume their product. Now, we might have so many refineries functioning in the Niger Delta, but they're illegal because they haven't passed the check of what it is to make them legal. And as I was about saying, that one of the things that...
All right, sorry,
Yeah.
let's take this caller. Hello, Mr. David. Good morning. Please go ahead.
Okay, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Monsieur David. I'm calling from Jos.
All right, Mr. David, go ahead.
I want to make contribution to what is happening here in Mangu in Jos. I I feel that just like when a thief attack your house, you should be allowed, you don't need to consult with anybody to defend yourself. I feel that we should get to that point where people are allowed to defend themselves in a situation like this. Since this insurgence has become a recurrent event, if we don't follow this course, we will not be able to solve this problem. This is my own contribution. So I think that people should be allowed to defend themselves because they are the ones that are directly affected by all these killings and insurgency in their communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. David, for your call.
And then one of the major things that the Dangote passed on for is pollution. You have to make sure that as a refinery, you put in the guidelines that the community around you doesn't suffer pollution. Now, apart from oil spillage coming from drilling crude oil, some of the major pollution that happens in the Niger Delta is from all of these illegal refineries. Now, secondly, a refinery of standard, I think we have a caller here.
You're on to Echo Television. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello.
We're with you. Good morning.
Am I talking with Echo Television?
Yes, you are.
So what I want to say, according to what they are saying, there are one thing I discover in this country, Nigeria, our country. I discovered there are something happened in the Bible. When that, during the issue of Solomon, when he judged, there are one woman, he gave birth, and the other one, his own is dead. Now the other, Solomon being a wise man, he said, this child now, what will I do with it? The other one that his own is dead, said that, let's divide it together. Let's divide it equal. The other one we take, other one we take. So Solomon said, is it what you want to do? Being a wise man, now you give it to the other living one. The person that I have it was crying bitterly that they will not divide his child. So what I'm saying is, I discover some people say that all those that are ruling us in this country, many of them are strangers. Look at how they are doing things. If something happens, they will just say, let's destroy Nigeria, they will do this and this. But I'm wondering, how can you destroy your country? If you destroy your country, where will you be? So there are a lot of things I'm seeing. Look at the case of Erufai. Look at the case of those that are in authority today, even Buhari. Look at how hungry and everything is crying. Everybody is crying in Nigeria. But now he's serious, doing a lot of things for Benin Republic. But is it Nigeria? No. Likewise, many of them. So the way they are doing things shows that they are not part of this country. And that's why if a little thing happens, they will just like to destroy everything and go their ways. Because it doesn't reach their children. It doesn't reach their fellow kindred also. So if this country is indeed, if they belong to this country indeed, they will be looking for peace. They will be looking for justice. But anything, look at even this issue of presidency. They said that they will do this, they will not televise it, they will do this one. But what is wrong to say the truth? We Nigeria, we want the truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
So I think I should be fast with my point. So now the question boils down to, are these refineries in the Niger Delta meeting up to the standard? Now the Dangote refinery can refine crude oil at different grades because each country producing crude oil have different grades, and I mentioned it that one of Nigerian crude oil is Bonny Light, and the crude oils from other countries are different grades of crude oil, and this refinery has the capacity to be able to refine different grades of crude oil. And it's not just petroleum that the refinery can. We are talking about diesel, kerosene, and then jet fuel. Now the question is, these refineries in the Niger Delta, if they have met all of these requirements and the government are still saying no, then perhaps they should come to the light and say, we've met all of these guidelines, we are up to this standard, we are zero pollution, or we are making sure that the community around us is not polluted. We are following every guideline of healthy refinery, let me put it that way, and still yet we are not being legalized. Then that is when you would have a case and say you are not meant to be an illegal refinery, but the government is putting you in such position. Then that's when Nigerians can say, yes, this is truly selfish and there is a hidden agenda behind that. But if not for something like that, then we should not come out and say, let's see now whether the government would call the refineries in the Niger Delta illegal, because now we have a legal refinery coming from the Dangote. And concerning the market concern, it is very valid, Sele, because what the thing about monopoly is that it's not that it's just one person, but monopoly comes in supply. That is, yes, we have other companies producing cement. We have BUA, for example, but the person who has the monopoly is who has the power of supply. And the Dangote cement has that power of supply. So automatically, the Dangote cement will control the price of cement because the other companies cannot stand it. And we can also talk about quality and all of that, even when it comes to sugar, when it comes to a lot of products that we consume on daily basis, we can see that the Dangote group of companies have the monopoly when it comes to supply, not because they are the only ones in charge. And it is not out of place if we have the same concern when it comes to oil, because when it comes to, we have a controlling body, and when it comes to that is OPEC. And OPEC also have where their power stops, and that is precisely crude oil. That is where OPEC's power stop. They have a unified price for crude oil for every oil producing company. However, when it comes to other refined products like diesel, kerosene and fuel, OPEC don't have a control or a fixed price on those products. Now that's where the challenge comes from, because yes, Dangote will buy the crude oil per barrel $84 as it stands now by OPEC, and when he refines it, that's where now the concern comes, because whether we like it or not, now he is breaking NNPCL monopoly when it comes to the supply of oil in the country, and he is taking over to supplying for us. And whether we like it or not, Dangote is a businessman. True. And that is where the concern is for us, because we've had the government giving subsidy in the past years to be able to help us because of how much they've been importing this oil. And now Dangote has to find his profit. Don't forget, he has taken loan from the CBN, which we've seen the 70% he has been able to pay. We have 30%. But once this debt is being settled, now there comes a profit. And whether we like it or not, there are so many factors put in place in the production of oil. And even when we want to say, okay, sugar prices have gone far, we can see that we don't manufacture raw sugar as much as what we need. Yes, we also import raw sugar, and we know that inflation and the dollar hasn't been consistent. So we can sit down and say Dangote have just hiked the price of sugar just by himself because he has the monopoly. No, we have other factors, and that will also affect fuel price in the country. However, what we expect the government to do to help Nigeria is to come up with a price ceiling for oil production, to set up a body. We have the NNPCL still going on, to set up a body to make sure that no matter how the price of petrol in this country will reach a ceiling that it cannot go above. And that's one way that the government can help us.
We are going to turn this whole
sorry
thing to
about that, but I think that's all the point I have to make.
Well, but thank you so much for doing this with me. And just like I love the fact that you explained to Nigerians what all of this is involved. But we hope to see from ending of July to August, let's see what the price will be as it hit the market, and then we hope that with the fact that, of course, the first subsidy, whether it will be removed or not, is still the back and forth. So we get to hear if that will stay or not. Well, this is how far we can go on the program this morning in the Dailies on Echo Television. It's been a pleasure doing this with all of you. Thank you to all our callers. Thank you to the crew members and each and everyone that makes sure this program is always on air. Until we come here again tomorrow, to have a blessed day ahead.